Dana Perino, along with Kimberly Guilfoyle, Juan Williams, Brian Kilmeade, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. Hillary Clinton largely avoided the conservative media during her failed presidential campaign, but she just went on conservative radio to open up about what happened and took some new shots at President Trump.
I don't have any personal stake in this presidency. I have a citizen stake. I am, as you might guess, very much worried by the actions and rhetoric of our current president. I've been very disappointed in the way that he has conducted himself.
She went on to suggest to Hugh Hewitt that racism in America has become more politically acceptable in the Trump era.
I think there has proven to be more white supremacists and white nationalists than I wish there were in our country, as we saw tragically in Charlottesville and other places. And they have made common cause with the president's agenda out of their own mouth that he is someone that they are counting on to promote it.
All right, Greg, it's your lucky day. We start another show with Hillary Clinton.
I can't get enough of her. Also, I love how conservative radio used to go after liberals. Not anymore. You notice that?
Well, they don't go on.
They don't.
They actually don't go on. That's what made this news. For her to go on with you, is outstanding.
But you know what? It's identity-driven politics that were helped created by her cynical campaign that led to a lot of this divisiveness. But she's swimming in what's called the big pool fallacy. Trump will have some creepy fans because when you have a lot of fans, some of them are bound to be creepy. The bigger the pool, the more likely there might be a creep in that pool. However, you have to be cognizant. If you're the lifeguard, should you say something? And I think one of the flaws with Donald Trump, it's a salesman's flaw. You never want to turn down a sale. It's actually not a moral choice. It's not a correct choice, but it's a part of thinking that like the money's green, so you never turn down a sale. You never know. You never condemn anyone until somebody else comes along. So there's a glimmer of truth here. But the other issue here is that the Democrats have a problem. You remember how they made Al Gore the president of global warming because they couldn't make him president, so they gave him something to keep him busy. They gave him a cause so he couldn't hurt anybody. They got to make her president of something like the Angry Book Club so that she goes off and does some stuff. Or she could be Bill Clinton's own defense attorney when those cases come up. She could actually interrogate Juanita Broaddrick. Well, how good would that be?
If they hadn't had to close the Clinton Global Initiative, she could be doing that. But, of course, that's not available to her. Did you try to get Hillary Clinton on your radio show?
No, not that I know of.
Yeah, because you just know she's not coming on?
Well, I didn't think she was going to come on. I know we're asking on Fox and Friends on a regular basis. It never happened. And she had no interest when she was trying to be president of the United States of coming on. And it's the biggest mistake that both Al Gore, John Kerry, who came on as Secretary of State, and Hillary Clinton did make. Because if you come on, and as Juan, as you know, if you want to use some of your best segments were on with people, and this show in particular, would disagree with you. Absolutely. Because you win people over, and some you don't, but at least you go in there and you're going to get your hands dirty. And she, in this interview, said, Uranium One, that's still going on, and still everyone proved it didn't exist. Well, there's a problem with that. That story's moving. And he goes, the problem with my emails, they made it the #1 story. It shouldn't have been. Well, the problem is there was a lot there, but you didn't go in and attack it. You know what she did? And admitted it in this interview. I didn't even listen, nor did her staff. How do you know how to fight an uphill battle or win over independents if you don't know what the other side's even doing?
Well, I think this is a real shortcoming for Democrats. I mean, imagine the kind of flack I get being on Fox. But they don't have, that's true too. But they don't have a sense of the ability to come here and use this as a forum to influence people. So I think that's why it's great that she went on Hugh Hewitt's show. And I think that it's very important that you have sufficient respect for people, even if you disagree with them, to talk with them.
Well, and also because people do, I would love to have her on the Daily Briefing, in case you're watching, Hillary. But if you come on a place where you aren't necessarily going to be guaranteed a warm reception, and you're pleasant and you try to make a couple of good points, that the viewer will say, well, that was good. Like, that was nice. She was kind. She was fine, whatever. And unless it's a total train wreck.
No, and I mean, you know, appreciate the upside there. If you believe in yourself and you're confident in what you have to offer, that you're a great candidate, that you have ideas that are compelling, that would resonate with the American people, then why wouldn't you take a chance and get in the ring and go into a forum where you might be able to reach some of those crossover or swing voters or people that independents that might say, you know what, I think I feel more certain going with somebody like her. It could happen. The point is she didn't take that chance. And you would think, Brian, to your point, that other people made this same mistake, that they would learn. How many high-paid consultants and experts does it take to figure it out when you have eyeballs in the reach of a network like the Fox News Channel and FBN? Why wouldn't you take that opportunity? I don't get it.
The one thing that really drives me crazy is if, and this would be true if a conservative went on MSNBC and then complained during the interview, like, well, I know what network I'm on. She did that a few years ago, and I've never forgotten it.
But I don't get that. She used to go on when she was going against President Obama, and one of the things in the break she said is, thank God for Fox, because we were the only one asking President Obama when he was Senator Obama legitimate questions, and we allowed, and it was one of the most interesting races that I can remember.
Well, she hated Obama.
Yeah.
She hated him.
Well, I don't know about that, but she did. Remember, she was his rival for the nomination.
And then Bill hates him, too.
Right. But I will say that what you got is a situation where she said, you know, this week that when Bill Clinton was running, if there had been a Fox News, that he wouldn't have been able to win because Fox News is so partisan. And I think I've heard from Obama the same thing, that Fox News just pillories him, just attacks him and stops him.
He won, though, twice.
Well, no, I'm talking about the legislative agenda. That Fox News just makes him into this ogre, right? But at the same time, the reality is if you're not talking to people, this goes back to your business about the salesman, then you're not selling. You're not out there making the pitch. They may feel unfairly attacked, but then show some gall, show up.
She did make a comment about President Obama. In fact, we play that one here.
It is true that when you run to succeed a two-term president of your own party, you have a historical headwind blowing against you. And I refer to that in the book because it's not just this campaign can be set apart from everything that's ever happened in our politics. It is a challenge.
Do you know what the problem is with this?
What?
Permission to speak, Dana. I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead. It's free fall. This is a free for all.
He says it's hard. She says it's hard to run as an agent of change when you come following someone like President Obama from your party. You know what you have to do? You have to say, I like President Obama, but this is what I would have done differently. I would have ran the economy differently. I was a little concerned about the regulation. I would have said, when it comes to Syria, I would have done something different. In fact, I have a memo here that says, on this date, I recommended we start a bombing. It would have prevented the Russians from coming in.
She did that in 2008 when she had to distance herself from Bill Clinton. And also, like, McCain had to separate from George W. Bush. Like, that always happens. So what do you think will happen next time? Because the Democrats, they still have her out there wanting to create a legacy.
They got to get her out. They got to send her somewhere. Too bad they got to send her.
Did you see that in the interview she said no one that is thinking about running in 2020 has reached out to her for advice?
I know, and also she said,
shame.
She also said that she doesn't think she could be friends with Donald Trump anymore. I guess she didn't mind his behavior when he was a Democrat or on the correct side of politics.
Giving her money.
Like her husband, who I think she could be friends with, or Harvey Feinstein, sorry, not Firestein. Weinstein.
Yeah.
She could be friends with him, and she could be friends on a far lesser extent with Al Franken, who, by the way, no one has yet to follow up on. Go on YouTube and Google Al Franken, Howard Stern, 1999, please.
Oh, yeah.
They did with Trump. They were all over the Trump stuff.
Go to Trump.
There is an interview there waiting to be discovered.
But see the difference? They did it with President Trump. They were all over, but they're not doing it with Al
this one has a victim that's no one's.
Well, let's go back. Let's go back for a second to Hillary's interview with Hugh Hewitt. Because I think there are two things that were interesting to me. One is she says, guess what? The child health care insurance program, that Trump is just letting it, Trump is just letting it linger and die. And it's going to die.
But the Congress is supposed to take that up before December.
But he, as the president, has some authority here, some voice. And he has said nothing in support of a program that will lead people, as she said, kids with diabetes and other illnesses to suffer. I think that's wrong. Second thing, Trump this very day retweets something that says Hillary is a corrupt blank. What What is wrong with him?
No, that's actually, that's what he does. We've accepted this. What about Paul Manafort's house arrest?
That's what I wanted to get to. We only have a minute left.
Well, I'll say it real
Go
quick.
for it.
He's under house arrest, which, by the way, everybody should want to be under house arrest. An excuse not to go to somebody's piano recital.
It's your dream.
And also,
it's your dream.
But the real punishment is he's not allowed to drink during it.
Right. No, well, I don't know if he's not allowed to. No, I think that's that because he's getting a limited release from house arrest to travel on the condition
He doesn't drink.
that he doesn't drink.
Wow.
But he
Forget
can
it.
smoke?
I'll take house
Can
arrest.
he smoke?
Can he smoke? I might take up smoking if I had to do that.
No,
No, not you.
Wow, what a role model you
absolutely
are.
not.
You are such
well,
a role
I'm not
model.
going to be
Take
under
it-
house arrest.
Dana
Take
Brito
it back.
disgusts me.
Take it back.
All right.
Oh
You
my
shouldn't say
God.
what she was smoking. It could be some kind of like herbal cigarettes, clothes.
Oh,
even.
no, clothes.
Right.
Those were big back in the day.
All right, well, we've got a lot more to come.
No, we don't. We've canceled the show.
Now we're going to keep going because there's dramatic tape of a North Korean soldier's desperate escape for freedom from his oppressive regime. Does he make it? Next.
Country song, how in the world did it go so wrong?
North Korea back on the list of state sponsors of terror. Kim Jong-un isn't happy about it, the North calling it a serious provocation that justifies its need for nukes. The country is so oppressive, its own people don't want to live there. We want to show you some dramatic new video just released by the United Nations. We must warn you that it is disturbing. Last week, a North Korean soldier risked it all to escape from his country. He defected by trying to cross the heavily armed border with the South. When his comrades caught wind, they opened fire. He was hit several times and collapsed on the South Korean side. And what an amazing sight it was to see troops from the South pull him to safety. That soldier has thankfully regained consciousness after surgeries and is now reportedly enjoying American TV shows and movies in the hospital and South Korean pop songs. What a story.
Amazing.
Greg.
I actually tuned this in. I watched this on MSNBC, and they played the tape backwards and claimed that South Korea guy was trying to escape for North Korea.
Yes,
terrible.
absolutely.
But there's a lot. I mean, this is such a good tape to see before Thanksgiving, because everybody should be thankful they don't live in a country where people are dying to get out and aren't allowed to get out. I mean, this is a history lesson about tyranny. We talked. This poor guy was operated on, and they found a parasitic worm the size of like a human arm in his stomach, which is an apt metaphor.
And it's not rare, by the way, for North Koreans.
Because they're eating the food that they eat is being raised in feces, and it is an apt metaphor for tyranny. It destroys from within, and it shows you how unfair life is. That if you're born here, you're going to make it.
You hit lotto.
Yeah. If you're born there, you're screwed. And we have to remember that whenever we're thinking about people coming here, that they deserve a chance to come here. Whether you think it's, we have to deal with national security and vetting, but we're lucky.
So what you're saying is we should be looser on immigration and just do it the right way? Is that what
I'm saying that we should do extreme vetting, but do not demonize people that are legitimately trying to escape horrible conditions.
We got plenty of room.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Especially at your place in Long Island.
Right.
My God, you got like 13 bedrooms.
It's very spacious.
You haven't seen the
They tell me, I look at the diagram, sometimes I get lost. It's so big. But by the way, he has pneumonia, hepatitis B, and they say when they open him up, he has blood poisoning. They're not, even though he's watching television, they're not sure he's out of the woods yet.
No, I know. But can you imagine that's a part of the problem there is just, besides this despicable regime, that they don't get proper medical care. I mean, literally, he running, getting shot,
5
ultimately
times.
saved his life because of look at all the medical conditions that he had inside that he wouldn't have been able to get any of
Down to
that.
130 pounds, this guy.
It's unbelievable.
That's him
might have
getting
known.
shot saved his life.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he might
Thank you,
have.
translator.
Thank you.
He might have known that he was dying. I mean,
That's
like
what I'm
if he
wondering.
had stayed. And I hope that we get a lot of intelligence from him to the extent that he knew anything that he could from the military.
Well, he's only 24 years old, so he's not a high-ranking guy. What struck
terrible
me?
medical
But freedom
conditions
is
for
universal.
24
The
years
desire to be free is something that every human is born with. And so to the extent that we can help them get to a better place, we should.
Yeah, I was just thinking, though, that, in reading about this story, not only is he a young guy who made this tremendous effort, but it said that the last time a soldier had escaped from North Korea is 10 years ago in 2007.
Wow.
And that annually about 1,000 North Koreans flee the country. So they do anything to get out. Now, the problem is most of them go through China. And guess what? One of the requests that people have right now is that China stop sending North Koreans back.
Yep.
But the Chinese are worried that if they don't send them back, then
That'll
there'll be a
increase.
flood of refugees. And this gets back to what you were saying. These people deserve the opportunity for freedom. If you have a heart, if you believe in democratic principles, if you believe in human rights, how can you turn your back on
What do
them?
you
So
suggest?
should
Whoa,
we
are you a neocon now?
Neocon, what?
so should
Because
we-
I believe in human rights?
Well,
Oh,
I mean, if you have an obligation to do
maybe-
something, what should we do?
Should we overthrow the government, is
Maybe
what you're saying.
Donald Trump should have mentioned this when he was over there. He didn't say a word about human rights.
Neil Wan.
Neil
over
Wan.
here.
Thank you.
But here's the thing. With North Korea, and I believe we said this in the break, I've always felt this. The biggest underreported story when we talk about North Korea is how horrible the conditions are for the North Koreans themselves.
Yeah.
And when we finally take the lid off that country, hopefully in this generation, we are going to say, what did we allow to happen? The carnage. This is an ongoing Holocaust with nobody getting fat except for the fat leader.
Well, do you think it's us or the Chinese? I think it's the Chinese
Doing what?
that just keep a lid on it because they don't want to deal with it, and they
Yes.
especially don't want to reunify
They don't want to encourage it
Korea.
either.
They don't want North and South together.
Right. I don't think they have great relations with North Koreans, but they have the best that there is right now. But I do think that there's an opportunity with the rest of the world. Believe it or not, he did not alienate anybody on this trip. I've read other accounts. I can't read Japanese like Greg, and I can't read Korean like Dana, but I was able to read the translation American
You
newspapers.
barely read English.
Right. Let's be honest. But,
diagram
English
he has.
overrated, very complicated. It's hard, especially with the contractions, kind of throws me off. But when you look at the reviews and the relations that he's built in that region, you see that we're making progress. This vice is
I agree.
closing on this country. This is the first time we have a legitimate shot to make a change, hopefully peaceful.
Why are you saying these things?
Because China is
Because
actually
it's
playing
true.
ball.
Well,
China is
because
playing ball.
China's saying,
Because they're engaging
my
with
hat's-
President
They're
Trump.
sending an envoy. Who knows what's going to
Also because he has nuclear weapons. There's no other option.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and this guy has been firing off missiles at a greater rate than under any other president before.
Little rocket man.
But now he says they're a terrorist state. That's the news today, right? Okay, they're a terrorist state. What does that allow? It allows us to impose more sanctions.
Yes.
Hey, where are the Russians? You know, hats off.
They had a 90-minute talk yesterday.
That it
Well,
went
I'm
very
just
well.
saying, if he's Putin's pal, get Putin to say, hey, when the
Oh, now
Chinese...
you want him to talk.
Yes, I do, if it's going to help the United States.
Neo Wan.
If
Yeah.
Putin would stop replacing the losses
Yes.
from the Chinese sanctions,
Right.
maybe that would have more effect
And
on
maybe
it.
that happened yesterday.
Well, let's
I have
hope.
not seen that
That's
in the
what I said.
readout. They said they did talk about North Korea, but I
Right.
think the president is smart enough to know I have to shut this circle off.
Maybe we should say hats off to Rex Tillerson. And you know what, Mr. President, I know how sensitive you are. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
I don't think you're being serious.
Yeah, that really lacked some sincerity. I have try it again, Juan.
Try it again.
It is
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
If you coach me, I'll do it. Go ahead. What do you want me to do? How should I do it?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's holy smokes.
That was sincere.
Wait. I'll do it without the touch.
do it.
Because you have
Last
a unique
chance.
touch.
Last chance.
Thank you, Mr. How about this? Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, that worked for me. Coming up, anti-Trump comedian Sarah Silverman has had a revelation about all of you so-called deplorables out there. Greg's going to fill you in next.
At least he says.
Great news. She likes you. She really likes you. She being the lefty comic Sarah Silverman, and you evil Trump voters. Yes, after so much hate and bile, she finally realized you people aren't so bad. In fact, you might even be people. I guess she'll let you live. In a new show, Sarah travels the country interviewing rubes who don't live near Whole Foods. It's like Wild Kingdom for gender studies majors. And now she claims after meeting so many Trump voters, she likes them. She loves them. Yes, what a surprise. You can feel comfortable around people who you don't agree with. So this is progress for a progressive, especially one who called for a military overthrow of Trump, a coup, while actual riots were going on. Imagine if anyone had listened. So this is a big step. For progressive, the personal is always political, where the right isn't just wrong, but evil. So good for Sarah for deciding that you're okay. You've met the approval of someone paid to talk to you. She appreciates you the way a cat appreciates yarn. Will her new enlightenment hold? I don't know. I remember how Sarah ridiculed Andrew Breitbart, not to his face, but when she took his seat after he left the set on Bill Maher's show.
How are you?
Sticky here.
Yeah, well, there was.
In general.
Yeah, right. You're not just saying the conservative.
Yeah, that was classy. She was nice to him in the green room, but then did that when he's not around. But it proves her point. It's easy to be a jerk to someone when they're not there. Wrapped in a cocoon of confirmation bias, it's easy to hate millions of people, and over time for them to hate you back. But I hope that Sarah's changed. Truly, anything would be an improvement. I'm going to be positive about this, Kimberly. I think that maybe she's
positive. Okay.
No, maybe she's woke, as the left says. That she realizes that just because you have a disagreement doesn't make them evil.
Okay, well, this is why people have to have an open mind and actually listen to others, their viewpoints, and try to understand and find common ground instead of being, discriminating and having biases against other individuals that you're not even taking the time to listen to. So, I don't know. Maybe, hope springs eternal. Who knows? But at least maybe it's an example to some people that they might want to reconsider. Just like all the people that were horrific, to the women that accused Bill Clinton that are now coming out and saying, oh, wait a second, we want to apologize for that. We were wrong with what we did.
Dana, we were going to show a clip of this, but we weren't allowed to get we weren't able to get approval
From Hulu?
for it. From I don't know who. Yeah,
Silverman Inc.
Yeah, Vulture. I think it's called Vulture. I don't know what that means. Anyway, do you think she's sincere, or is she just doing a job?
Well, I read a feature story about her several months ago as she was getting ready, as she got this series underway, and she talked about what she hoped to achieve in it. And it's really not. It isn't that easy to publicly admit that you were wrong.
Yeah.
Or that you have some work to do, or that you have to go out. And so perhaps it is sincere. But I also think, she's supposedly a comedian. So one of the best ways to have relationships with people that maybe you don't agree with is through humor.
True.
And just laugh about it. Politics is really not that important.
It shouldn't be. Actually, that's a great point.
Thank you.
And you seem surprised.
No, I am surprised.
Did you see that? He was like, whoa.
Yeah,
She usually saves her great points for the earlier show, the show with her name on it.
Oh,
we get the leftovers. We get the turkey sandwiches. We don't get the turkey.
I know the feeling.
Brian. But the point is, if politics takes a large part of your life, then you can be very angry. You have a lot of hobbies, or so you play soccer with kids. You coach. So, but Fox and Friends is only a tiny part of your life.
Do I have to agree with your premise? I don't even did you even ask a question? First, I have to disclaimer. He knows nothing about me. Okay? I don't even, when he sees me in the green room, he walks the other way.
Did you hear what he said about your hair machine in your office the other night? It was like nuts.
I did not know that. I got to get that DVR.
I get all my information from Ducey.
Right.
Thanks for watching, though. That's twice.
That's good. By the way, I got to go to Blockbuster, get the episode. Which day was it? It will be fantastic. By the way, she goes on to say in this story where she says, we haven't changed each other's minds, but I like these Trump people. I think it's a business decision. When asked about Trump, we're waiting for him to hit bottom. There is no bottom. He doesn't understand what happiness is. If he isn't ruining people's lives and destroying the planet, my heart would break for him. He's a damaged person. I don't see much conversion here or much open-mindedness.
But I like you. I like the people that voted for you.
And he's far happier than she has any idea.
Do you think
he's very happy?
He's very happy.
He doesn't have a care in the world.
He has a good time. He has a nice family.
Here's my cynical observation. She called for a military overthrow of Donald Trump. And I think she's seeing that her career is kind of like going down. And she realizes maybe alienating half of the country is a bad idea.
Wow, I didn't get that at all. In fact, I think she's been around in recent days promoting this new show.
Yes.
And having some success promoting. I don't know how well the show does. But no, I don't have that impression at all. This is more like Thanksgiving dinner to me.
Yeah.
This is like, Uncle Joe walks in with the Make America Great Again hat.
Right.
And so am I supposed to just be mocking? Should I be like, I can't stand this guy or whatever? And then turns out, hey, Joe's a pretty good guy.
Yeah.
We just have some serious political disagreement. And let me tell you, I think you can have serious political fear even of Donald Trump and his presidency. But the idea that you would talk to them, this is what we were discussing earlier. This is a good thing.
I think it's a good thing, but it's a good thing when you're not paid to do it. And it's like, so now she's doing it because she's got a salary. If she wouldn't have done
She
this
sees
before.
Kathy Griffin, and
Yeah.
Kathy Griffin was one of the hottest comedians around, and now she's so angry. Yeah, she's so angry she
Shaved her
can't get
head.
on CNN. She's yelling at
She's
Andy
claiming,
Cohen.
but the funny thing is, she's claiming that Hollywood is blacklisting her over Trump. Excuse me, Hollywood hates Trump. I mean, I'm sure. I mean,
how does that make sense, Greg?
it doesn't make any
Doesn't.
sense. It doesn't make it. I think she's just whining because. But was she on Bravo?
Yeah,
Bravo.
yeah.
I mean, she wasn't like the biggest comedian. She was a train wreck.
Right.
By the way,
she was successful.
By the way, you know, she was doing this tour with Frank Rich, who used to write for
Yes.
the Times, now writes for New York Magazine. So it's not as if Frank Rich, I don't think Frank Rich is a Trump fan.
Hates him.
Right. So my impression is this was her speaking from the heart. And I would think that from your perspective, I know you're glad to have Hillary around, glad to play identity
Love her.
politics, grievance politics,
Me too.
resentment. But I mean, goodness gracious, give the lady some
I
credit.
have a
Well, but
prediction.
Give who
she's one of the
credit?
3
Sarah
people that
Silverman.
blocked me on Twitter.
Who?
Alec
Hillary.
Baldwin, Keith Olbermann, and Sarah Silverman blocked me on Twitter. That is like having 3 little medals. Little medals.
Yeah, it's 3
Look at
states.
how
call them little
excited
medals.
you are.
But I do think it's going to boomerang. I think the anti-Trump stuff is getting so staid. I look
Yeah.
for things to change. When you invite me back next year at this time, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, we're going to talk about how people are taking on the Democratic Party on stage.
Oh, yeah? Or is that after we discuss
way-
the impeachment?
By the way, South Park does not do any bashing on Trump because they say it's just so predictable and hackneyed. All right. He managed to hold his fire for more than 24 hours, but President Trump let loose today on the dad who refuses to thank him. That's next.
With some other people before he even got there. I got doubts of what he didn't do. How's that? If I was going to thank somebody, I'd probably thank President Z.
Somebody did
Now,
something
if that's
for
your
you. Say
opinion that
thank
he's
you.
done, I would say thank you if he would have put him on his plane and took him home.
As you can imagine, those comments did not go over very well with President Trump. He was fired up this morning on Twitter, aiming his fire at LeVar Ball for dismissing his pivotal role in helping to bring his son and 2 others home from China. They were caught shoplifting. The president writes, quote, "It wasn't the White House. It wasn't the State Department. It wasn't Father LeVar's so-called people on the ground in China that got his son out of a long-term prison sentence. It was me." Too bad. LeVar is just a poor man's version of Don King, oh my God, but without the hair. Just think. LeVar, you could have spent the next 5 to 10 years during Thanksgiving with your son in China. Did I say that right? I'm going to do the Trump sounding. China. But no NBA contract to support you. But remember, LeVar, is this a book? What am I reading? Shoplifting is not a little.
characters.
It's what?
280 characters.
Okay.
now, so
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Dana's been complaining. It's a really big deal, especially in China. Ungrateful fool. Oh, my God.
Oh my God, that was a lot of dramatic acting.
Yeah,
Yes.
a dramatic interpretation.
Well done.
So let me ask you
That's
something.
the best you've ever sounded.
Oh, thank you, sir. But Dana,
And you had fun. Do you notice you're like in
Yeah,
a
you
good
were
mood
fun.
and you're like
It
happy?
made you happy.
Yes,
You
because
enjoyed
you
it.
love being Trump.
wow.
We all saw
It is
it.
fun
You are
to
Sarah
read his
Silverman.
tweets
We
out
all
loud.
saw
It is. I mean, it just is.
But it's so ridiculous that this is the president.
Yeah, you can't use that
it's
argument
not.
anymore. The bar isn't lowered, the bar is gone. Even Shakespeare knew that not every play had to be a tragedy. And that's the way the White House is now.
Tell it to
The White
Hamlet.
House can actually be fun. Politics can be fun, the president can be fun. By the way, the big point here is when we look at historical artifacts of the past, like letters written by Washington or letters written by Lincoln or Martin Luther King, no more. We're not going to have that anymore. Everything's going to be up on Twitter.
Yeah.
There's going to be no parchment paper with stuff. Every thought and every feeling, every attack is going to be highly readable. It's going to be immortal and worthless.
Excuse me. You mean like the Gettysburg Address and this stuff is
Yeah, Twitter
equal?
replaces that. You don't need it anymore.
Oh,
It'll be
weigh
the
in.
Twitter address.
You want me to weigh in?
By the way, Juan asked Dana to talk.
Yes, but his point was so mundane that I had to interrupt.
talking?
Stop.
You're trying to take over.
No, let the lady have the floor.
Wait, that's sexist.
well, I
Let the
do-
lady have the floor. This isn't a dance club.
All right, go ahead.
Let me have the.
Let me have the chair.
Let this gender-neutral
He's still
individual.
going.
He can't
He's
stop.
still
Gender-neutral
going.
I
individual.
think he's playing Trump.
Gosh,
He
and Jesse's not
loves
even here.
He loves talking about Trump. He just loves it. He loves when
all right.
Trump does his thing.
Okay, I don't like the 280 characters. I thought he had a better rhythm at 140, and like a self-imposed discipline on that.
Yes.
Even if it's 3 tweets, I thought those were much more fun to read. I also feel like for as much as President Trump is entertaining his base, LeVar Ball is doing the same.
Exactly.
So everyone has an audience here, and so it is like the reality show, because I can't wait to tune in tomorrow to see what's going to happen. Like what would really get President Trump going might be if LeVar Ball thanked Hillary Clinton for some reason, and then we could keep this going.
Now
for a
you're
little
giving
bit longer.
ideas.
I have 2 thoughts on this. After watching the entire interview, I think he was putting Chris Cuomo on.
Definitely.
People say, "Well, he's crazy. He's unhinged." He's not really. He went on there. He twisted the thing. He put it on its head. He was Donald Trump.
Yes.
And I got to give Mark Cuban
if you watched
credit.
our show, we
Mark
said that yesterday.
Mark Cuban said that Donald Trump and LeVar Ball are really the same profile.
I said that on the
exact
5
way.
yesterday. Cuban took it from me.
Number
See?
2, in reality, if the president didn't, no one was
Get in a
pressuring
fight.
the president to deal for these basketball players. But had he not, they might be in the same slot as that Ball State football player that's been in jail for 13 months for a bar fight in China.
Good point.
Who cannot get anyone's attention. His family.
What's his name?
Is pleading. His family. I have it right
Well,
here.
why didn't you get him out too?
Should've.
His name is Wendell
really?
Brown, and his family says, "Mr. President, we will thank you every day if you can get my son out."
Yes.
Well, that's real.
They got to get Wendell Brown
President
out.
Trump, get
Come on,
Wendell Brown
free
out.
Wendell Brown.
Please.
Free Wendell Brown.
Absolutely.
Free Wendell Brown.
There we
might
go.
be
Free
watching.
Wendell Brown.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
Well, he certainly
Because
watches
you're
Fox
here,
and
Fox
Friends.
and Friends.
Yeah. No,
So
I was
what-
thinking Wendell Brown.
Well, so what about this? What about LeVar as Don King?
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Oh, you think it's funny? Okay.
I mean,
It's a compliment.
he said Don King.
I thought he liked
without the
Don King.
hair.
Yeah, Don King's a friend
He
of his.
does. That's
Don
why
King's a
Don King is
Republican.
his friend. Don King supported him and showed up at his route. So he was trying to say, this guy thinks he's, funny.
So you think it's over?
Original.
Is this over?
No, this is too good.
Never
we just
over.
We've
did a
done
whole
it 2
segment.
days in a row
Check
on
it
this
out.
show. It's not
never
over.
So
over.
it's up-
until
you're
POTUS
served,
says
Mr.
it's
Ball.
over.
Yes.
But that point, what Trump is saying, he recognizes that Ball is a showman in progress. When he said a poor man's Don King, he was basically saying, I know what you're doing. I can help you. I see where you're going. Because a lot of people call me a poor man's Lou Dobbs.
Right.
It's only a matter of time.
A lot of
before
people
I-
just call you a poor
Everybody
man.
says it. Everybody says it.
Well,
It was written in the bathroom.
Right. By the way, they didn't just take glasses. They took a lot of stuff, by the way. They could end up in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
They took a lot of
No,
paraphernalia.
it's a serious thing, and he did do something wonderful. And LeVar Ball, blah blah blah. He
And
should
also
be
the president on the
grateful.
plane, when he gets asked about it on the flight home, he goes back to see the press, and there's a video. And the president's very restrained and talking about how bad the situation was. And I love it was at one point where he said, wasn't good. Okay. And he just leaves it at that. And everybody could have just left it at that. Instead, now we have to go over and over it again.
well, I think
But
he's,
I'm having a great time
Look at
talking
how
about
much
it.
fun
I'm going to talk about this and lots
well,
of
I
other
had
things.
fun with that ridiculous tweet, but I must say, I think he saw a self-interest in making himself into the hero of getting the boys back. But now LeVar is trying to thwart that. That's why he's going after LeVar. I don't know. To me, it just looks like 2 hucksters having a party. Coming up, new greeting recommendations for children during this holiday season. Forget the hugging. How about the high five? We'll explain next.
All right, how about a high five, Grandpa? The Girl Scouts of America have just issued a warning to parents not to force kids to hug their relatives on the holidays, specifically daughters. Now, the group posting a reminder online that says, quote, girls don't owe hugs to anyone, not even family members. It suggests the alternatives might be a smile, an air kiss. You writing this down, Greg?
Yes.
An air kiss or whatever is most comfortable for them. Kimberly, is this an important
Do
move?
an air kiss, so be like phony or whatever, and try to be like. I don't.
Should you
get
tell a
this.
12-year-old to go hug a relative they're not comfortable with?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. This is why I'm so happy that Dana and I chose to be the Campfire Girls, Bluebirds. They would never issue such a foolish, ridiculous statement as the Girl Scouts.
Dana Perino, is this an evolving of our culture to realize we shouldn't just hug people just because they're technically related to us? Or
I'm a hugger. I like the hug.
You're
I think
a
it's a
hugger?
good. I am, and I think that it's. I think it's good. And I just kind of remember, like, if you see your family once a year, and it was like maybe Christmas time, you get up to the ranch, and there's Uncle Joe. I actually did have an Uncle Joe. Like, I want to give Uncle Joe and Aunt Lina a hug.
Right.
Of course, it's one moment.
Isn't that
it's
a nice-
fine.
And even if his Make America Great Again hat falls off during that hug, Juan, real quick, do you see this as evolving? People worried about 12 and 13-year-old girls maybe in an uncomfortable situation.
Well, yeah, and I would be.
You
very,
like this?
Well, I don't like it because I have granddaughters and a daughter,
And you want to get a hug.
Would you
Yeah,
tell
but
them that? Don't hug?
I'm very sensitive to if a little kid said to me, "I'm not comfortable," I would say, Why is that? Because I think little kids want to hug you and give
But
you.
I think that's different. That's
No, I don't,
complaining
because-
about something that maybe has gone on or that.
Maybe I don't know
that's
what's going on,
different.
but
I
if
would
the
never
child
force
is
somebody.
uncomfortable,
No, that's what
I would listen to the child, because if you look at the statistics, the people who are most likely to assault or attack that child.
Oh my gosh.
Is someone they know.
And they
Now
say
it's
one in
gone
nine,
on-
one in
now it's
nine
gone off the
females will
rails.
have some type of
crazy.
unacceptable interaction with an adult. Greg, finally, think about the adult's feelings. A little kid or a young girl does not want to hug the cousin from another state because they haven't seen him in a while. They don't feel comfortable. What about the adult's feelings?
Two things. One, I am for this. I hate hugging, especially kids when they're already taller than me. It's a reminder.
Happens a lot.
Yes, it happens way too often. You know, this is actually, to be a serious point, where there's this underlying agreement that all men are predators. We're seeing, and no matter what, we're just all bad. And I think this is the consequence of that. Of course, I doubt there'll be any hugging at Uncle Franken's house. There'll be a hold on hugging, and also Uncle Charlie's.
And no sleeping.
And handing your
Keep your
iPhones
eyes
at the
open.
door.
Make Uncle Roy, too.
I will say this, for Italian families in Girl Scouts, it's a no-brainer. Italians have to hug. It's the law.
Hug.
They were born to
The
hug.
law.
Born to hug.
The Irish will welcome this.
Born
the
to
Irish
hug.
are not big emotional
That should be your
people.
memoir, Born to Hug.
That's not true. What is-
Half
I
Italian,
think
half
the
Irish.
Irish are very warm.
Not big huggers.
I don't
Write
know.
us.
I hug people.
One more thing is next. On behalf of the Irish, we don't hug.
We hug.
It's time now for one more thing, and in a spirit of generosity, Brian, you get to go first.
All right, sometime in the next 2 weeks, Andrew Jackson, The Miracle of New Orleans, will go on the big screen, ours. It'll be on the Fox News channel at 8 o'clock, either this Sunday or next Sunday or the Sunday after, 3rd or 10th. And Andrew Jackson, as you know, had a big win. It was for America. It's a pro-history story. Here's a look. If this berm didn't work, there was another line and another line they'd have to go through before they get to New Orleans, but they never got past this line.
That's right. This becomes a bloodbath here. The corpses, well, now we're just looking at green grass. It was the beginning of the end of Britain and in many ways the birth of modern America.
And that's the story of the battle. We fly a drone above it to give you an idea. Andrew Jackson, Miracle of New Orleans.
That looks great. Congratulations.
It was a lot of fun.
Congratulations.
Ron Trez and Doug Brinkley did a great job.
Good photos.
Set your DVRs. Kimberly.
All right, so I have a fantastic little thing of puppy love. So it's like Kimberly's puppy love dating tips, okay? So this is cute because my friend Anisha has a dog, Luigi, who I absolutely love. He's super adorable. He's 6 years old, and he's got a lot of style. You see him there in his red cashmere sweater, and he's with a very famous Instagram dog, Sparkles the Diva. She's 7 years old, and she's a Shih Tzu, and he's a Shih Tzu, too, from Atlanta. So she has over 50,000 followers, and Luigi's doing really well, too. So they went on this date. Their moms arranged a date, and they went to the Gramercy Park Hotel, all dressed up. They had
Is this a
champagne.
Disney movie?
This is just going to make my wife mad. They go on better dates.
This is the point, Greg. And this is the point, that men in New York City could learn a lot from the puppy love
Puppy
here.
love.
No
People
word
in
yet.
America are throwing up.
If
All
there's
right.
going to be. Look at the Mercedes.
You ready for
G-Wagon,
this?
too. I love
Everybody,
it.
it's been a while. What do I have?
Dana's corny joke of the day.
Number one. Why did the turkey cross the road?
To get to the other side. That was a chicken.
Anybody?
To get the other sides.
No, because it was Thanksgiving Day, and he
That was
wanted
a better
people
one.
to think he was a chicken.
No, his is better.
Mine was better to
Mine's
get to
better.
the other sides.
Well, you
Thank you. Thank
excuse
you.
me. You improved on mine by adding an S.
Oh, please.
That was pretty good.
No,
Well,
but you
I
just
mean,
thought it was the original joke.
because he wanted them to think he was a chicken. Okay, number two. What happened when the turkey got into a fight?
Bach.
He got into a fight. The turkey got into a fight. What happened to him?
No idea.
He got the stuffing knocked out of him.
I like that.
Ah, okay,
That was
one.
good. I like
All
that.
right.
The violence.
Juan's
Number
the
three,
laugh
the
track.
final one.
Go ahead.
What did the nut say when it was chasing the other nut? I'm a cashew.
I knew I was going to say cashew. Like cashew.
You didn't say it.
I'm a
didn't say it.
cashew.
I thought
That doesn't count,
God
Kimberly.
knows. God
That-
knows.
but that's like her best one about the jalapeno.
Jalapeno.
That's coming back in
Okay,
May.
your turn, Greg.
All right, it's time for my favorite segment. Greg's Cow Brush News, not to be seen on CNN because they can't handle the truth. All right, let's go to Switzerland, shall we? Habsburg, to be exact, Spurg. Rolina the dairy cow lives on a farm in Habsburg. She doesn't even know because she's a cow. She could be living anywhere because she's a cow. They don't have big brains, but she loves nothing more than brushing her coat. Look at her. And that's a coat brusher installed at the Habsburg farm. And her owner, Marina, could not have expected a happier cow. The reaction is mind-blowing. The footage goes on for 37 hours. Yes.
Let me get this straight. That's a car wash for cows.
It's a brush for a cow.
It's a brush. It's like to make them feel better. Like if you know, like an automatic brush for the cow.
For more cow brush news, wait.
All right.
All right, Juan.
New York City getting dressed up for the holidays. It's beautiful. 6th Avenue right now covered with barricades, even as we speak, because tomorrow, for a very happy reason, all this, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. This year, new balloons will be floating through the skyscraper canyons of New York, including Olaf from Frozen, the Paw Patrol, and the Grinch, not Gutfeld, the Grinch, alongside returning stars like SpongeBob and Hello Kitty. The parade, by the way, I didn't know this, started in 1934, and it cost more than $13 million. Estimated 3.5 million spectators in person, 50 million will be watching at home.
Is there Underdog? Is Underdog coming back?
Yes, I think he's back.
Oh, they're telling me we got to go. That's it for us. Tomorrow night, don't miss our Thanksgiving special. It's at 5 p.m. Eastern. It's a really fun show. We hope you will join us. And here's something to whet your appetite. Thanks to 5fan Photoshops, we have a very happy Thanksgiving photo of the 5 of us having a fake dinner.
Oh, how cute.
Special report is up next. Brett, take it away. Please.
That's such a sweet photo. Thanks, Dana. Unfortunately, starting tonight with another tragic accident.